So, folks, today we're going to be looking at slope-intercept form, which is something you talked a lot about in 8th grade, but we want to jump into it and really work hard on this year to make sure that we are solid and we feel confident using slope-intercept form. So, what is slope-intercept form? Slope-intercept form, first of all, is your y equals mx plus b, which you have heard so many times that we should be really comfortable with it. But we really want to make sure that we are solid when it comes to finding um, these two components. So there really are two ingredients or two pieces of slope intercept form. And, surprise, surprise, they're the two words in the actual name. So the first component is the slope, finding the slope of a line. And then the second component is finding the y-intercept of the line. That's what the b value stands for. So we have an example here to the right-hand side with your neighbor. Let's press pause for me, okay? Press pause for me, and with your neighbor, see if you can find these two things. What is the slope, and then what is the y-intercept? Give that a try. All right, so if you're looking at your line, hopefully you found two exact points on your line. I'm going to go with this guy right here. That's an exact point. Maybe this is an exact point. Maybe this is an exact point, or these. Any of those points are going to work for you, okay? So to find the slope, we have to take any of our points starting on the left. So I'm just going to start right here. Actually, I'm going to start down here. So I'm going to take this point right here, and I'm going to rise how much? Well, technically, I'm actually going down 1. So label that a -1. And then I'm running how many to the right? 2 to the right. That's a +2. So hopefully you're seeing that that's how we derive our slope. Our slope is derived from how we have to move up and down and then left and right. So in this case, we went down 1, which is why it's -1 because it's down, then to the right 2, so +2. So if we bring that together as a reminder, your slope, your m value, is rise divided by run. So in this case, our rise was -1 and our run was +2. So there you go. That is the actual slope of our function, -1/2. So there's our m value. Next, we look at the b value. The b value is essentially the y-intercept, where it crosses. So remember, this the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, so let's write that in first. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. So hopefully you're just looking at your y-axis right here. The y-axis is the vertical axis. This guy right here, that's your y-axis. And you have to just simply find where does our blue line cross that y-axis. And in this case, it crosses right here. So we ask ourselves, well, what is that number? That's the number 2. So our b value is +2 in this case. Okay? So if we bring it all together and we write our line as a actual equation, we have to make sure we include the point. Okay, so first of all, we know that xy is an ordered pair that falls on the line, aka stays as x and y when writing the equation. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create our equation. Y equals something times x. Okay, something times x plus the b value. So these are the two things that we are filling in. And in this case, it's going to be our -1/2 as our m variable. That's our m value. And then our b value was +2. So our equation in this case is y equals -1/2 x plus 2. There's our equation. All right. So what we have to be able to do from here is we have to be able to now identify, given the equation. So we're going to give you the actual equation in this case, and you're going to identify, okay, what is the slope of that line and what is the y-intercept of that line. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about this one, this letter A, for a quick second. What do you think the slope is there? And this one's a bit tricky because you might not see part of what's actually being written right there. So think about what the slope is. Tell a neighbor. And then if you want to rewrite this equation as y equals 1/2 x minus 3. So when you have x over 2, like we do here, x over 2, really what's happening there is there's an invisible 1, which makes this a 1/2 x. So if you need to, you can rewrite the equation. That helps some people identify the slope of the function. So what is our slope? Where in this equation is our slope? Well, our slope is our m variable or m value. So there you go. Our slope in this case equals positive 1/2. That's our m value, our slope. And our y-intercept is the b value, which is the amount that's being added or subtracted on the end here. So in this case, our b value is -3. Okay, so if we think about this, we got to be able to identify the slope. That's the value that's being multiplied to x. And then the b value, that's the value that's being added or subtracted on the end. Okay, so take a look at this next one. If you're not careful, you're going to go ahead and say that m equals 6 because of this guy, and that b equals 4. And if you do that, you're going to be wrong. Why is m not 6 and b not 4? I just told you that the m value is what's being multiplied to x, and the b value is what's being added or subtracted. So why is this wrong? Tell your neighbor why you think that's wrong. So hopefully the reason why you told your neighbor is because of this guy. Is that y alone? And in this case, it's not. We can't identify the slope until our y value is completely alone. So we need to get that y value alone first, and then once we do that, then we'll be able to identify the m and the b. So how do we undo multiplication by 2? We divide by 2. So everywhere, let's divide by 2. What's our new equation? Our new equation is going to be y on its own now. 6 divided by 2 gives me 3, so 3x plus 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. Now that our y value is alone, now we can identify our slope, aka the 3, so our m value equals 3, and our y-intercept, the b value, which in this case is positive 2. So very important that we're able to identify those two components from an equation and use those two components to actually identify characteristics. And then eventually, what we're about to do next is look at how we graph those equations. So keep working hard, talk to a neighbor, review as necessary.